What's up, guys? So I'm gonna start a new series on basic tutorials on how to play piano. Basically teaching you everything that I've taught myself over the years. I believe I started playing piano around 2007 when I was in high school. And I pretty much taught myself everything that I know. So I feel like maybe now I can give back and share with the rest of the piano community or people that are wanting to get into playing piano. So without further ado, this is the first part of a series. This first lesson is going to be on sheet music versus what's on the keyboard or the piano, and how to play the notes or where the notes are found on the sheet music versus the keyboard itself. So as you can see down here, we've got a little chart, and going in through here you can see where all the keys are, and you notice you've got black keys and then you've got white keys, and we'll go over that in probably the next video. But here we have something called the treble clef, and the treble clef is typically played with the right hand. Then we have the bass clef, which is played typically with the left hand. Now, if you were to look at a piece of sheet music, what you see is typically, well, always, the treble clef is on top, bass clef is on the bottom, and there are some differences between how they're played and where the notes are located. So when you're playing, there is a note they call middle C. Now on the bass clef, it's this note here, and on the treble clef, if you were to draw a line right here and put the note right on it, it would be middle C. I can show you here. Middle C on the bass clef is right on a line right above the top line, and then on the treble clef it's right on the line below this bottom line here. You can see what I'm talking about. So that C is played. Let's get a full view of the piano here so we can actually see what we're doing. But if that's the whole piano, this is middle C. Right here. Alright, anything above that typically would be played as the treble part, and anything below it typically is played as the bass part, and that's why they call it middle C. It's kind of like a dividing C. Now, as far as notes go, everything goes in octaves. Octave basically means 8, so you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when you go up 8 notes, you're at the same note that you came from. So this is a C, and that's a C. And if you start at middle C, this is also C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or if you were to start exactly from C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Octave, octave. Alright. So with the treble clef, I'll pull out a diagram again. The treble clef, there are 2 focal notes for each clef that you will want to memorize. For the treble, as you can see, and it may be kind of difficult to see in this picture, but this image, it goes around, up and around, and then it circles. Well, where there's a line and a circle here, on this line right there is where there's a G. To show you on this sheet music here, this sheet music actually starts out with a G on the treble clef. It's that note right there. So that is one note that you want to definitely memorize, because if you start out on the G there, you'll always know that it's on that line because of the way that the treble clef circles around it. And that G on the treble clef is played here. This is middle C, and this is where the G on the treble clef is played. Now, when you're trying to learn and figure out what these notes are, it's good to learn, generally speaking, where some focal notes are. So like middle C would be a good one, and then G, and then the C above that G, or the C that's an octave below middle C is also good to know, because when you're looking at the sheet music, you can then count up or count down. We'll use this as an example. This is a D. The way that I know that is I can start from G, and your letters go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then they start back at A. So we go G, F, E, which is on that line, and then D right below the line. So you can count letters to find out where, what letter note you should play. Now, for the bass clef, an easy way to remember kind of a focal note for that is when you look at the bass clef itself, which you see these two little dots that are right in front of the bass clef, or part of it. Those two dots, the line that falls between those two dots, any note on that line is an F. And excuse me. So if this is middle C here, you can count back B, A, G, F, and you can see that note falls on that line. If you trace it all the way over, you can see it's on that. So that F is played here. So if this one's middle C, and this is the G played on the treble clef, this is the F played on the bass clef. So as you can probably tell immediately, the treble clef and the bass clef, the notes aren't written exactly the same. And that is a difficulty for some players when they're first learning. But if you can memorize where some general notes are, when you're learning a piece, what you can do is then either count up or count down from those notes. So knowing that this is middle C, if I see a note up here, I can just go from middle C and go D, E, F, or 1, 2, 3. Lo and behold, it's F. That way, instead of having to count all the way from this F up, I can just start from C, middle C, and go up to F, or vice versa. If we're on the treble clef, this is the G that you would play, and like I said, it lines up right on there. If there was a note up here, if you knew that that was a G, you go 1, 2, 3, find out that that's a C, instead of, you know, counting from a different letter. So I typically recommend that you learn this G, and you learn this C, that's above it, and that you know middle C. So middle C, G, and C above it. If you know those letter notes, you can either count up or count down based on where your music is on the sheet music. Same for the bass clef. I recommend that people know that that's middle C, that that is an F, and that they know that this is another C. So for bass, it would be C, F, C, middle C. For the treble, it would be middle C, G, and C again. Now to kind of put this in practice again, like I said, if this one right here, that note is a C on the treble clef. If I know that that's a C, I can start from there, and if there were a note up here, I could count from it up to that note, rather than having to count from G or middle C up. It just makes it a little bit faster when you're learning the sheet music. So I believe that is it for this lesson. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me, and I will try to produce another video just to answer any questions.